night. It's Always Booking Comedy. It's December. Oh no, we're live now. It's Always Booking Comedy. It's Monday night. I'm Mark Masters. Got Stetson Banks from the
Northwest Arkansas.
Why am I spacing? It's Arkansas, but the jeweler state, the volunteer
natural
state. What is it?
The natural state.
The natural state. Yeah, natural
Yeah.
diamonds. You know,
Yeah.
natural. Au natural in Arkansas. What's going on? So yeah, look at you. You an axe murderer? What's going on in that country now? Pretty interesting.
No, I've got a little office in my apartment that I can record in sometimes, but I've got like all PA and a bunch of crap in there, and I was like, it's going to take longer to clean this up. So I just came out to my wood shop. So
that's pretty amazing. Now,
tells you my priorities. My wood shop's like much cleaner than my apartment. So
yeah, you got to put every tool in its place. What everything's blue. Is that a specific brand?
No, that saw's a Delta and it's blue, but I just like blue. And so,
okay.
Like, yeah, you can't see much of the rest of like the bottom half of the walls. They're all painted blue. And so, this side of the shop kind of just has a blue thing going on. So
nice. Looks great. Stetson runs one of the best shows I've done around the country, and I've done it at least 3 times. It's really fun in Northwest Arkansas. Is that right?
Yeah.
Northwest Arkansas, kind of near Bentonville, like Walmart country.
Yeah. So the show's actually in Springdale. But
in Springdale.
Around here, everybody just calls everything Northwest Arkansas because there's Fayetteville, Springdale, Rogers, Bentonville, and then a few other little cities. Everything's just grown into one, and so everybody just calls it Northwest Arkansas or NWA. So
how long has that show been going?
So we started monthly in January of 2017.
Wow.
And we did monthly for the first year, and then we went weekly in 2018. And so it was on Saturdays from 2018 until COVID. And then we shut down over the COVID. And then when we came back, we got moved to Thursday nights. And so now it's on Thursdays. So yeah, we just recently had our 300th show back in August.
That's incredible, man. Yeah. That's so cool.
So yeah. So yeah, it's been going for a while. It's
Black Apple. Is it called Black Apple Cidery Comedy or what's?
Well, so we call Black Apple Comedy Night. It's the name of the cidery. It's like a brewery, but they make cider. It's called Black Apple Hard Cider, and so
yeah, it's the best apple juice factory I've ever done. Comedy.
It is. It's so good. Yeah, they win awards. For like best cider.
They're very nice. Staff is great, so, and they've done construction projects. I've been going there so long. It like has changed.
Yeah, they're moving stuff around, and yeah, we toured out the big stage and moved the stage around to the other side of the room, and they're trying to expand and do some different things with their space in there. So, but yeah, we can still get 60 to 80 depending on how we set it up. Inside the showroom. So
and it fills up. You do a great job marketing. Hats off to them, by the way, for supporting live comedy.
Yeah,
everybody. If you're in Northwest Arkansas, forget anything in Bentonville. Go over to Springdale and get some cider.
Oh no, we got there's good stuff going on everywhere, but we do. Ours has been around for a while.
What's that art museum? I went to that art museum. It was fantastic.
Oh my gosh, Crystal Bridges. So,
Crystal Bridges. That's why I was thinking of Gems earlier.
Yeah, obviously Bentonville is where Walmart's campus is. So there's a lot of money around that, and they've got that the Crystal Bridges, big beautiful art museum there. And then the Fayetteville is south of Springdale. It's got the University of Arkansas. So. Those are the kind of the linchpins in Northwest Arkansas. There's a few other big, Fortune 500 companies like Tyson Chicken and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, that's what the area is kind of known for. So
I did a show down in Fayetteville, and I guess that gentleman died.
Renaga.
Yeah, he was. Place.
Yeah, he had a little kava place, and they had a little room in the back, and so they tried a few different things, yoga studio and this and that. And then kind of the last thing he had tried was a was make a little bit of a comedy room.
It was a killer room.
It was a perfect
Never had
room
a
for
good
comedy. Yeah. So I think so. The front of it was Kava, and it was a franchise, this American Shaman Kava, and I think that was just a hurdle for a lot of people to get a lot of people in the door. I think if it had just been like a normal bar with that room in the back, I think it would have taken off. But yeah, he tried really hard, and then he ended up passing away, and so I think it's
he's a real sweet guy.
Yeah, he was. So,
is there a go-to show in Fayetteville now? Anything replace that?
No, not really. There'll be stuff every now and then. People just kind of do one-offs and stuff. We got a Tuesday night open mic in Fayetteville, and we've had an open mic. I say there's been an open mic in Fayetteville, like a weekly mic, since 2010. So there's been something there every week, but it's been just mostly open mics.
Speaking of open mics, I got breaking news announcement here.
Okay.
I've been waiting 7 years for. Comedy Works is the big comedy club in Denver, and their big open mic is New Talent Night. It's every Tuesday night.
As the last place I saw you. Yeah, I'm ready to see you there.
And it's like a rite of passage to eventually be asked to host New Talent Night. And I just like an hour ago, they asked me if I would host tomorrow. So
hell yeah. Awesome,
Tuesday,
man.
December 9th, I will be hosting at Downtown Comedy Works, the New Talent Night. I'm so excited. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about it. I don't really get nervous anymore. I did a holiday party this weekend for almost 200 people. I was thinking about it afterwards. Like I don't remember when I stopped getting nervous, but I definitely, I don't always get nervous anymore. And I am nervous about tomorrow. That's
Now, it's good to get nervous every now and then. I just did the Altercation Fest down in Austin, and I had some new material. It was almost all brand new material that I'd done maybe at one mic, or some of it I hadn't done at all. But it's my third time doing that fest, and I was like, I know this crowd, and I know they'll like these jokes. I don't have them worked out, but I'm just going to try it. And that was as nervous as I've been in a long time. I mean, I was on the last show of the weekend, so I just all weekend just sitting there thinking about it, and it went great. But
did you have a sandwich strategy where you opened with old stuff and closed with old stuff, or was it just wall to wall?
It was almost all brand new stuff. Yeah.
Huh.
So my closer was going to be a closer that I've done often. But the other stuff did really well, and I was having fun with it, and I didn't rush anything, and I got done with the joke. I was getting close to done with the joke before my closer, and I looked down. It's I've got 15 seconds left. And so I didn't even have time to do the normal closer. So I didn't end up using hardly anything that's been tested. So
that's awesome. Did you drive there?
Yeah.
How long a drive is that?
It's 9 hours.
Okay. So, for you, that's nothing.
No, it's not bad.
You're a big driver. I'm a big driver too. I don't.
Yeah, I like it. I got a little van, little.
What do you do to kill the time while you're driving?
Podcasts, mostly basketball podcasts.
Okay. Who's your team? So, Oklahoma City.
Yeah. You see the sign there. So may not be the most popular.
It's this big on my screen, so it's hard to see. But cool.
Yeah, that's my team. So I not
you
the
go
biggest
to games ever.
Usually a couple a year.
How long does it take you to get there?
3 hours. 3.5 hours.
And will you drive home afterwards, or do you stay?
Usually, yeah. So I think we're going to go this year for my birthday, and stay the night before, and then go to the game, and then drive home at night. Because I love to drive at night. So
it's easier.
Yeah,
less riffraff.
Yeah.
Although once I got the craziest comedy driving story. I was driving home from a gig. It's, I don't know, midnight, something like that. And I'm several hours from Denver, driving back to Denver. And I'm on the highway. It's a 2-lane highway. And I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm looking at my phone at something. And I look up, and there are headlights coming right at me.
Oh, God.
And so I get over to the right lane, and a car goes past me 80 miles an hour. I'm going about 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I would have been dead in an instant. I called 911 immediately. I was the 10th person to call, gave him the mile marker. They were tracking him down. I mean, just some drunk got on the highway. So, man, I haven't thought about that in a while, but that kind of scared me.
Yeah, I like I said, I love to drive at night, and so like my thing is like if I do like a week or two weeks of runs, like I said, I'll stay in my van. But this is back before I used to have a van, and so I was always like either hotels or crashing on couches and stuff. And my thing is always the last night of a show, if I was within 10 hours of home, I would drive home after the show.
Yeah.
And which I mean, I drove home from Denver before, and that was like 12 hours.
I drove to. I remember once I was sleeping in my car and going on a long run over to Florida and stopped and went from Denver to Northwest Arkansas to do your show on a Thursday. My plan was to leave Wednesday, do a show in Wichita Wednesday night if I could find one, and then continue on to Springdale. I couldn't find a show.
Yeah.
And then what ended up happening was it was so cold out. It must have been like around December, January, something like that. I was like, I don't really want to sleep in my car in Wichita tonight. And I did the math and I figured out if I got up at like 3 a.m. on Thursday, I could coast into Springdale like right on time. And I remember talking about that on stage and everyone was hooting and hollering and they were all excited. But man, I was tired. That was
I like to do the long drive on the way back.
You
do one of those, I've done that where I've drove 10 hours, to get to a show and just be exhausted at the show. So I tried to do that.
I talk about like a long run you've done to an area I haven't focused on. Like where do you go? Like you're coming up to Denver, I'm not interested. Going out east, I'm not really interested.
I either go up to like the Midwest or the South.
Let's talk about the Midwest.
So usually I'll base, a run around Indianapolis. Every time I've gone up, I've always hit that Sunday night show in Indianapolis.
Okay.
Alex Price used to run.
I don't know. I've never been to Indianapolis.
Okay, yeah.
Not
So
for comedy, at least.
So they have a weekly show on Sundays in Indianapolis, and it's real good. It's Black Circle. It's very similar to Black Apple. It's a brewery instead of a cidery, but it's a great weekly show, and they get 40 to 60 people every week.
Nice.
And so it's a really good show. Alex Price used to run it, and he's turned it over to Dustin Burkett and Tyson Cox. And so usually I'll find a way to get up to that. I've done Cincinnati a few times, or right across the river.
That's another market I haven't been to. Yeah. This is perfect. So you go from.
So Cincinnati is, I always say like every comedian's got their markets where they just do great in.
Yeah.
And then they've got their markets where they always bomb in. And I've got like Nebraska, like Lincoln and Omaha are always great for me. Like I always, like for whatever reason, I really connect in Lincoln and Omaha. And then Cincinnati, I've been 3 times, and every time I've just been like, what, where did this come from? So I've done, there's Bombs Away Comedy. They have a venue called the Comet, which is just like this really cool bar. It's just got a side room that they've essentially turned into like a comedy club. And it's awesome. I haven't been there in a while. It's probably the next place I'd like to get back to. And then there's also just right across the river, you just go right over the bridge into Kentucky, in Dayton, Kentucky. There's Commonwealth. It used to be Commonwealth Sanctuary. Now it's Commonwealth Comedy Club. And I got to work it once, and it's incredible. It's like it's an old church that they.
Yeah, I've actually seen it online. I remember I saw somebody was working there, and I Googled it. Looks neat.
Yeah. And people running are just the nicest and everything. So
those are all pretty close, like Indianapolis, Cincinnati.
So speaking of Alex Price, I've talked to him, and he's, Alex does a lot of bigger shows. Like he's an opener for David Tell.
Wow.
He headlines clubs and stuff like that.
The Price with an I or a Y?
It's I.
Okay.
Big dude. I mean, he's like 6'6", big dude. And he's super funny. He was talking one time, he could go to New York or he could go to LA or wherever, but like he stayed in Indianapolis because it's 3 hours from everything.
Yeah.
You could be in so many different
markets.
I'm
so jealous of those comics that live in like Kentucky or near Nashville, and they can just, there's so many markets.
Yep. So he loves it there. And so that's always.
And then will you scoot down to Nashville on a run like that, or do you come back?
I haven't done Nashville. I did like one show last time I was like, I went from the South up to Bloomington and then did some stuff up there. On my way, I stopped in Nashville and just did a show on my way, but it was, it was just like a Wednesday night show or something. It was just kind of run of the mill bar show. But I did. They used to have a deal in Nashville when I started the Broken Record Comedy Show, where every year they break their own record for the world's longest comedy show, and it has to be at least 10 people in the crowd at all times. It's like Guinness World Book of Records rules. They had to have 10 people in the crowd at all times, and there had to be a comic on stage at all times, and it would run like, I think by the time they finished, their record was up like 8 days and something. And so it's crazy, like, people just sleeping out in their cars in the parking lot and stuff. And so I used to go do that. So I know a lot of Nashville comics. But the times I've been like trying to go through there, I, could find a lot of open mics. And then just never had the schedule line up really with any shows and stuff.
So then will you usually just head back to Northwest Arkansas, or is there something else on the drive home?
Yeah, I mean, like Kansas City and St. Louis, if like I'm going up to Midwest, one of those places, like I'll usually do like Kansas City if I'm going maybe over to Nebraska, and then like St. Louis, try to do something, either on way in or way out, because that's, about 5 hours for me. So, but yeah, once you start heading back south, through Missouri, it's like there's St. Louis and Kansas City. I did a show in Columbia one time, but it's kind of hard to catch that schedule because it's just kind of they do it at this huge music hall that holds like several hundred people, and it's just kind of when that place has a date they need filled. So it's kind of hard to catch that as a moving target. So yeah, there's not much else like in central Missouri on the way back down to Northwest Arkansas and stuff. But if I go east, which is that's kind of the other area I go to a lot, it's like essentially SEC country, if you know college sports.
Yeah.
So like I always said, the best show in the South was Epic Comedy Hour in Alabama, but it's been on hiatus for like a year or two. So thinking they're maybe getting a new venue. I saw something about it maybe coming back. But that, I did that a few times, and that was just an incredible show. And you hit some of these places in the South, like you wouldn't think, but it's just kind of like Northwest Arkansas. You have like a very, kind of rural conservative state, and then you have these big cities, and so it's kind of like everybody in the state that doesn't want to live in a rural part moves, and so you get these places. You're Omaha, you're Lincoln in Nebraska, you're in Alabama, you're Tuscaloosa and places like that you'll just find these cool places that people may kind of overlook. But yeah, you can put a run through all those places and have so much fun, and people are always like really excited to get out and do stuff. So
yeah,
it's fun to go through there. Yeah.
I have I want to ask you about some of the bigger comics you've booked on Black Apple, but we got some questions from the internet. We're going to do the first from user Gazitter Forov. By the way, Gazitter Forov, where are you from? We'd love to know. Let us know. And anybody watching, you can type in the questions into Twitch or YouTube. We'll usually answer them. It's about driving home after a show. Do you drink? I never drink before a show personally. And usually if I'm driving, I won't drink afterwards, but occasionally like my pay will be in drinks and it feels like a waste not to have a drink. But now that I headline a lot, like if I'm in the middle of a show, I'll do my set and maybe I'll have a beer. But if I'm at the end, sometimes I'll have a beer on stage as like a performance thing to try and sell more beers to the crowd, to make the venue more profitable. But I'm not a big drinker to start with. So you got an answer?
Yes. It's the same. I've always lived in rural areas, and so I've always lived. I've never lived. Well, besides when I was in college,
so they don't have cops. Is that where this is?
Well, no. The opposite. I've never been able to just like go get hammered at a bar and then Uber home. That's like never an option.
Yeah.
And so like I just I've never I've always just not drank unless I have an opportunity to have somebody DD
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
or if
Yeah,
I
so now
am,
both of us
yeah,
are pretty much saying, we
yeah,
don't have that drink.
yeah,
So
I'll have a
anyways,
drink on stage, but yeah,
yeah.
don't like go.
Gazitter Forov is from New York. Thanks,
Okay.
Gazitter
Yeah.
Forov, for being
You know,
here.
like if I was, like when I stayed at, or did the Commonwealth in Kentucky, outside of Cincinnati, I found a really good parking spot for my van. I won't blow the spot up, but it was like walking distance from the club. We'll say that.
Nice.
And so in that, in that instance, I had more than one.
Yeah, there
So,
you go. Like,
because I didn't
and
have to drive
sometimes I'll
anywhere
get
that
put up
night.
at a
So
like I'll do a hotel
yeah,
gig where I'm staying at the hotel,
yeah,
where the
it's
performance
perfect.
is. So that's,
Yeah.
you're walking
Or
to bed.
regardless if I haven't taken, I'm the same as you. Like I'll have one before a show and then one on stage. Like I never have like 3 or 4 before a show.
Right.
'Cause it just
Yeah.
slows me down a little bit.
All right, we got another question from New York. If you're booked for a corporate gig and are told not to make fun of the boss, do you honor that, or do you sit and write stuff on the spot about the boss? LOL. That is a good question. I just did a corporate gig this Saturday. I'll tell you a funny story about it. It was a bunch of aerospace engineers in Colorado Springs, and Colorado Springs has NORAD. It's inside a Cheyenne Mountain. It's like a secret military base inside a mountain. It's where they do the Santa tracker stuff that
Yeah.
maybe people are familiar with. I told some jokes about that on stage. But anyways, before I went up, there was like dinner and I was talking to some people, and this table couldn't, I asked them, how do you get into Cheyenne Mountain? Like, I was curious, do they drive in? Is there a train? Is there a bus? Is there like a parking lot where they pick them all up? And they're like, we can't tell you. And then, so I got up on
Yeah.
stage, and one of the first things I said was, this has been an incredible evening. I learned how to get into Cheyenne Mountain, and I thought that was funny. I'm telling you, 200 people in the audience, you could have heard a pin drop.
Oh yeah.
Nobody laughed. They did
Yeah.
not. It was funny
Man,
at all.
it's
I
so
moved
hard to
right on.
read.
They were like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, somebody's getting arrested tonight." So you do
So
have to be careful what you make fun of at these
I don't
corporate things.
do very many corporate gigs at all. It's been a long time since I did one. We did one year. We had like a party planner reach out to us and it's like, hey, I've got a bunch of corporate deals, for holiday parties. Would you guys be interested? And so, and I was still like 2 or 3 years in. I came up with an idea that actually really worked well because I'm not good at crowd work. And the 2 guys I had with me, it wasn't really their specialty either. But we also knew like you're not just go up there in front of like one of the companies was a bank. You're not just go up there and just do your normal stuff, just verbatim.
Yeah.
So you had to do something, and so the one thing I came up with, we brought our own PA, and I have some wireless mics, and so I hosted and just to get like everybody involved and everything. I stayed on stage and I brought up like the other 2 comedians that were going to be on the show. And then they turned on wireless mics and they went out to the crowd and we like triple teamed. So like I would ask, I was like, okay, who drives the farthest into work every day? And people start raising their hand, like, okay, anybody further than 70 miles and stuff. And then like, so we'd find out that person or, who's been working for the company the longest. We'd ask these questions to like identify somebody. And then just if you've ever been to like a cattle auction or whatever, they have like, people out in you get the guy up there like the running everything. You get the people out in the audience and they're going around and calling the bids out. So I just essentially had the 2 guys out in the audience. They would go and they'd get a microphone up. So all 3 of us were doing crowd work at the same time. And, if I didn't have something funny, the other guy did. And I thought that was a really cool, if you're doing with multiple people, it was a really good way to get involved.
Yeah, it makes
with
it interactive.
audience.
It gets everybody involved, and
Yeah.
that's fun. I actually misread this question. It says, if you're told not to make fun of the boss, no, I'm definitely not making fun of the boss.
Yeah.
Like if the boss is basically where the pay is coming from. I'm not going to rip the boss.
I
If I'm
will
told
say
not to make fun of him. But a lot of gigs, like I'm doing a gig for a bunch of surgeons this weekend, and the person who booked me has sent me like biographies about everybody and how to make fun about everybody in the company.
There's a lot of times, and I've had people ask that too. Like, you got to make fun of this person. Like, man, if we try to force, it's not going to be,
Yeah, I mean, there's a kind way too.
Yes.
Like I will usually write several jokes about each person, and then I'll call the ones that are not.
Yeah.
They're funny, but they're maybe a little mean, or somebody might get hurt.
The funniest story I know about that, I'm not going to tell it, but it's Adam Caton Holland's latest special.
Oh,
I don't know if
yeah, I've heard that joke. He did
yeah,
it
where
on
he
one of my
talks.
shows, and yeah, it's on my
Yeah, it's
schedule.
so good. So,
Yeah, it's great. Check out Adam Caton Holland,
yeah, check out
everybody.
Adam Caton's Hall and Zoo special came out within the last year, and it's towards the end of it. He talks about doing a corporate event for
Yeah,
John
yeah, very
Melway's
funny,
dealership,
very
and
funny.
yeah, so how that went wrong. So that applies
Yeah.
directly to that question.
All right, we're running out of time. I do want to ask you, every once in a while, I Google like who's performing at Black Apple,
Yeah.
and I'm shocked at some of the big names you get. So can you rattle off a couple of big names you got and maybe tell us some
Oh,
stories of how that came to pass?
I mean, we honestly don't get a ton of huge names because
I
it's
think they're
a
big.
free
They're big
show
to
on
me.
Thursdays. It's just solid every week that we just had word of mouth. My co-producer Steph Bright, she's traveled a bunch. I've traveled a bunch, and
You mean
so
word of mouth with comics, right?
yes, and so
Yeah.
when we're on the road, I'll meet people. I'll meet you out in Colorado or whatever, and that's how we kind of scout people and say, hey, if you're coming through, obviously it's not gonna be enough for it's not gonna get worth it for you to drive all the way from Denver just to do this one show. If you're putting a run together, keep this in mind. And so that's how I get a lot of people through. There's just people I've been friends with like for a while. Dave Stone or we just had Ryan Singer not too long ago
Yeah,
came through.
huge.
Yeah, so those are.
And so
We have.
let's take Ryan Singer. Like, is he he's got a weekend gig down in Arkansas and he comes out a day early, or or does he
Uh,
live in the area?
so we were able to put a second thing together for him.
Okay.
But he was just out like on a 2-month tour.
Okay.
And so he just gave us a weekend, said, whatever you guys have just trust you. And so we put together some other stuff for him. I don't usually do that for, because we just don't have a lot of other stuff to put together. But for like him, we did do that extra mile. But yeah, we get people coming in that it's just there's a lot of people that would be like a lot of times people would be features at a comedy club or something like that. But like because we know them and like I said, we're getting to scout while we're out on the road, and so like. I might be out for 2 weeks and see a lot of funny people, but like, I'll see some crushers and I'm like pressure. I'm like, hey, please come do this, And so like, I'm just kind of able to go out and Steph's able to find people too. And she's out on the road. And then, yeah, once you get the word of mouth out, then you start getting overrun with messages and stuff. And so we have our choice. And so we can kind of put together, shows and everything that really have done well. And then we have enough people from the region to come in and do like feature spots. And we have a lot of great local talent. So we really get the crowds warmed up and stuff. And that's honestly like, if I could give like one piece of advice for like producing a show, to me, the most important thing is like getting the show started, like the actual, not like the actual night of the show, like how you start the show. I've seen you brought up Renaga earlier, and rest in peace, Renaga, sweetest guy in the world. He did not have a comedy background, and he wanted to go up and kind of start his shows off there, and he wrote out like a whole deal, like announcements and stuff to go up and get the show started and bring the host up, which that is a crucial thing. Some places don't have anybody bring the host up. The host has to come up and do all the rules and stuff, and that makes it tough.
Yeah.
But he would come up and be like, all right, don't talk during the show. We don't want to hear about your shitty week. If you guys want to do comedy, you can come to an open mic. Like it kind of started off like adversarial relationship between the crowd and the comics, the performers. And so my thing is like, I go up, to bring up a host, like if Steph's hosting, I'll go up and, preface it to the crowd, hey, I'm gonna go over some rules, make sure everybody has the best time they can tonight. Please don't talk at your table. And one of the things I've started doing is, instead of just like being like, hey, shut up, don't talk, it messes the show, like being kind of coming on adversarial, be like, if you're talking, the other people came out, I'm gonna be able to hear the show. And people got babysitters and stuff to come out. So just be respectful of the people sitting around you, and that way they can hear the show. And once you put it like that, because if you just tell people like, hey, don't talk during the show, that some people think, well, you guys are professional comedians. You should be able to handle me talking. I'm helping the show. But once you frame it as like, if you're doing this, you're going to be rude to your fellow audience members, and you like kind of make them a team. and that works. Like
Yeah.
we have no talking. Like we never had to deal with that. And then the other thing I do is I always like challenge the crowd, like hey, you know, this Mark's coming in from Denver. You know, he drove all the way to come perform for y'all tonight, and you know, he's been here before and talked about how much fun he's had. So let's make sure to show him how much love. You know, everybody show him a big Northwest Arkansas welcome. And you know, it's like I'm challenging the crowd to like be a part of the show and be a part of the success of the show.
Yeah.
And I
You
think
get a
those
lot of
two
repeat
things.
customers.
Yeah. I mean, we get people that are there like 2 or 3 times a month.
Nice.
And so, you know, it makes it kind of hard to, you know, not burn
For the locals.
burn out on the locals and stuff. But yeah, and then there's still, you know, 300 and some shows into it. We still get new people every week.
Awesome.
So yeah.
It's incredible. What an incredible thing you built. It's the end of the year, so I want to ask you real quick, what you got any comedy goals for 2026?
Yeah. I've got to like just
Let's manifest them. Speak them out into the universe.
Yeah. At some point I've just got to like put into like absolute concrete when I'm going to do my special or record an album or albums. I mean, I've got well over two specials worth of stuff ready to go. I just never have recorded it. So I've got to get at least one of them in the bank at some point.
That's an incredible goal for 2026. Yeah. You heard it here first. Stetson Banks recording an album in 2026 within the next 12 months. It'll be available to everybody. How exciting.
Yeah. Oh, you bet. Yeah.
All right. We're going to wind this down. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about tonight?
No, man. I appreciate you having me on.
And stuff. Why don't you tell us where people can find you, etc.?
Yeah, just Stetson Banks. You just Google it. I've got a website. I've got Facebook. I wish I didn't, but you know, got an Instagram. I've got a TikTok that's not been very active, but yeah, you guys just wherever. If you're already on YouTube watching this, you can look me up there too. So amazing. I don't have a ton out there, but I need to get more.
We're here every Monday, Always Bookin Comedy. Tomorrow, Tuesday, December 9th, come downtown Denver, Comedy Works, the legendary underground Comedy Works. I'll be hosting New Talent Night. So excited about that. And I have another podcast now called Mark and Jake Try to Make It. So Gazertov, however I say that, from New York. If you enjoyed this conversation, we basically talk ad nauseum about driving around the country, me sleeping in my car, Jake doing weird gigs. It's a lot of fun. Mark and Jake Try to Make It. Look it up. We're close to 20, closing in on 20 episodes. Everybody have a great week. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Stetson, stick around for a second. Thanks for